There we go. All right, finally I got it. All right. So I did not have my hand on the mic. I don't know why people think that. I didn't have my mic. I didn't have my finger on the microphone hole on the phone. Also, that's not how the new phones work. The new Galaxy Mote 2 phones, they don't have, well, yeah, they do have microphone holes, but that's not how they work. So I gave up. I'm switching to the laptop. Anyways, hope you're all having a good one. Just a comfy stream. Anyways, as I was saying before I was so interrupted by technical difficulties, transfeminism, because transfeminism is the ultimate unnatural circumstance of basically destroying procreation. It's antinatal and it's Malthusian. It is based on controlling the population, controlling the surplus population of people so that you can save resources in case there is scarcity shortages. It's Fabian Malthusian. It's Fabianist and Malthusian. All forms of gender studies and gender rules and gender norms is Malthusianism. It's just population control. The only purpose of sex is to have children. The only purpose of sex and for sex is to produce more people. And the more people there are, the more you need to farm to have food for those people. The more you need to acquire resources to feed and to house that surplus population, give them jobs and whatnot. Malthusianism, from Thomas Malthus, his idea is you need to control the poor population. There is a lot of underclasses and there is a lot of poor people, and that population should be controlled. The Fabian School of Socialism took that concept from the Chartists and they introduced feminism or brought feminism into that as a way to liberate the woman, liberate the female from the home, give her equality with man, and then she will not be able to be fertilized and have children. And that's where Malthusianism plays into the Fabian school. And then MK Ultra and the 1968 movement and the hippies and the counterculture was an outpouring of that, and the Frankfurt School. It was an outpouring of those ideas. So transfeminism is not from the Bible. It is an industrial modern concept. It is a transhumanist concept. And it is inherently grounded in Malthusianism. It all goes back to the population control of Thomas Malthus. This concept that it is necessary to control and curtail the population, keep them down so that you can save resources and the state does not have to provide for an unnecessary amount of excess population. It was very common stuff in the 19th century. And the American School of Economics under Henry Carey absolutely opposed the Malthusian English model. So it's no surprise that the person in my chat that was trying to push this transfeminism is British. He's British, and he's literally pushing the thought of Euston Stuart Mill. Euston Stuart Mill, the British economist who applied Malthusianism. And H.G. Wells, the Fabian socialist, who also believed in population control, control of excess population to save resources. and transition over to post-scarcity economy, a post-scarcity economy with an international supervisory commission. That's the British School of Economics. It is inherently against the concept of national distinction of the nation state. So that's one aspect of that. But yeah, that's just utopianism. It's pure mouse utopia. You cannot realistically achieve that because it is inherently against nature. There's only two genders. That is what we have. That is how humans and human civilization developed. All the abstract ideas are not going to change or alter what you already have innately there and what has been done to socially organize the settings of things. I'm not going to go much deeper than that. I think that pretty much covers how I needed to come back at this. But yeah, that's just Fabian Malthusianism. This is really all the West is Malthusianist. The Western world is completely Malthusianist and Fabian. That is the predominant ideas that run things. That is the predominant norms of things. And, you know, I had this idiot was telling me that the bourgeoisie won. The bourgeoisie did not win. They capitulated to the state. The state is organized by a managerial class, a centralized managerial class in the UN, in the executive branches, in all the executive offices, in all forms of government supervisory, in all forms of economic co-op boards. That is not bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie is a producer class that produces capital exchange. It produces something of substance for capital transaction. That's what the bourgeoisie is. It is the class that owns a business and builds and constructs something entrepreneurially that is of value. It has value. It can be sold for a value surplus. You get something back by selling it, and you make a profit with it. That's what the concept of the bourgeoisie is. Okay? We live under a Fabian socialist Malthusian state co-opt organized system. That's what we're living under. It is still driven by the market. The market still drives things, but it's under the control of the state. The government has the final say in what the market is going to do. What the market is going to produce, the government is going to have the last say. Or the people that are the closest affiliated with the government will have the last say. That's how that stuff works. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to have a comfy stream, maybe drink a cup of coffee or something and just kind of enjoy myself. Hopefully y'all enjoy, listening to me. You all enjoy just hearing what I'm talking about and covering. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to create a cult. I'm not here to set up a fucking cult. I'm just here to talk about, talk like at least a bit rational. Just a pint of rationalism. An ounce of rationalism to try to get through. try to have a common correlation with what's actually going on in the world today. But yeah, anyways, Interdimensional Lizard says, Forge, thank you. I've already said my Forge gangs today. This is just a continuation of the previous stream where I wasn't able to fix whatever was going on with the audio. But anyways, yes. Where was I? So yeah, I have nothing really to say much. Just kind of want to share my thoughts and just kind of have a comfy moment before I get on with my day. But yeah, transhumanism is Malthusian. It's Malthusianist. There's no biblical incentive for Malthusianism. There's no biblical account for a Malthusian practice because the Malthusianist school did not exist. It didn't exist. So anyways, yeah, everything is fucking shit. The modern consumerist mindset of the West is filth and gutter. Consumerism is absolute gutter and trash. The modern industrial world is gutter, completely garbage. All the thinking that comes out of it is utter garbage. And it's just a police state where the center rule of the norm is the panopticon. America is a giant prison, convict labor prison panopticon. That's what Western civilization is. Civilization used to have this concept of trying to be free, the freeborn man, but that's not the case. That is completely gone. That is been thrown out the window, the bathwater with everything else that was in it. They threw out the baby with the bathwater. That's what Western civilization is. Malthusian, Fabianist, totalitarian, state monopolized and managerial panopticon. Are you really that surprised? Are you really surprised to get to know this stuff? But yeah. Soybachu is a faggot. Silverman is a literal fucking faggot. And he is the death of the modern man. Modern Western man will die on the hill that it made for itself. This fake nuance notion of an urban socialite suburban mentality, and that is precisely where the Western middle class will die. It's going to die on the hill that it made for itself. With the 2 world wars, totalitarian police state, and what have you. That doesn't sound like a victory to me. It doesn't sound like a win. It sounds like something has been lost. Something very fundamentally spiritual has been lost. Something centered on a soul has been lost in the world full of isms. ISM, isms. The world of isms that convolate the modern West, the thinking of the Western man, has lost his soul. The modern thinking man has lost his soul in the world of abstract abnormalities. That is what the modern world with the machine age has brought to us. That's what the Enlightenment brought us. It brought us organized naturalism as opposed to organized supernaturalism of the medieval world, the pre-modern world. The medieval world was organized around the notion of organized supernaturalism. The modern world is centered on organized naturalism. That is the primary distinction above it all. It is still outwardly Christian, but inwardly it is nihilist. Inwardly it is completely nihilistic. And the cross is just a mere abstract, empty, nihilistic symbol. Because you cannot have an organized, religious, patriarchal driven society with this modern industrial Fabian Malthusian model. This model in which everything is centered around the state and not centered around the life of man in cooperation with God. That is the absolute center, main primary issue about modern society, is that right there. The state has taken the place of God, and that is what man worships. Man worships the state and worships technology and science. Are you really that surprised to hear this? Are you really that surprised? Or have you been so indoctrinated and so socially engineered that you couldn't even really think much about it? Or at least think of it like in that mindset. So that's the primary issue. And that's the entire thinking of Rick Perry. Rick Perry is just basically a trans-feminist. He wants to destroy the second age, this second age of man, and transition into the third age. That's his primary objective with that. So, yeah. Can y'all hear me in the chat? Whatnot. Seems it should be, though. It would seem as if that I should be able to be heard. But yeah, the growing interest of the occult stems from the shortcomings and failures of the modern world. The failure mindset. In this sense, science fails to have. In this modern contemporary society, where everything is prefabricated, thought of in advance, there's no notion of a spirit or an internal soul, and everything is just material. This is how the occult and magic seeps into things. This is how the notions of an occultic hermetical world and Gnosticism seeps in. it seeps and grinds its way in through the shortcomings and the unlikelihoods of everything that modern society fails at. And therefore, you see the resuscitation of the medieval and the ancient in the postmodern, because the modern system itself was never going to triumph to begin with. It failed where it supposedly succeeded. The beginning of the failure came out of the pinnacle of the success. Just as failure breeds success, success can also breed failure. And just as one can go from rags to riches, so then can they also, when they appropriate into decadence, go from riches to rags. Prudence and hard work leads to success in business, success in working and stuff, and the lack of that inherently is what leads to the opposite. Opposite breeds opposite in a very hermetical sense of that term. The hermetical thing is that so as above has above, so below. That is the hermetical presupposition. Turning base metals into gold through alchemy and extending life, extending the state of mortality and altering the natural state. That's where the occult seeps into the shortcomings of science and rationality. And that is where you find the failures and the dilapidated underpinnings of the system that supposedly has all the answers to everything that man and woman needs. Well, evidently, this is not all that man and woman needs. There's actually fundamentally something that is lacking in the modern system, fundamentally lacking in the state. Something has been taken. The soul, or the notion of a soul, has been ripped out. I'm not talking about the Platonic soul. That's actually, in fact, where modern science comes from, is from the Platonic forms, the Platonic formalities and Aristotelian law. It's actually the pre-Socratic thinking that best befits religion. At least that's how I feel. That's my personal thoughts. Generally, the older something is, the better. Not always. Sometimes newer things are better, but usually the older is inherently the better, because it's been tested through time. It's been tested and experimented, and it stood the test of time. New things have not proven themselves, and therefore new ideas and new innovations have not yet stood the test, or withstood the test of time as such. But time itself is extremely relative. Every person, under their own prescribed notion of consciousness, has their own interpretation of the momentum of time. Time works differently to different people under different circumstances, because all consciousness is not totally equal. Human consciousness is not calibrated in an equal way. And that's how you know that there is an existence of an inward soul. Not the Platonic soul, the pre-Socratic and pre-Pythagorean notion of the soul and the spirit, that has nothing to do with the Neoplatonic notion of a soul. That's a lie. That's complete nonsense. The atheists are correct when they talk about the Neoplatonic stuff. They are correct when they talk about a Neoplatonic soul. They're not correct when they talk about a pre-Socratic soul or spirit or inward notion of a soul. The soul is directly connected to the body. The body, the soul, mind, and spirit are one thing. They're not different components. They are the same thing. They're one thing. They're not different things. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to chat and talk a bit. I'm going to go start my day pretty soon. Not seeing a lot of engagement in the chat. I'm not getting a lot of feedback. Not getting much imputed feedback. So what else can I say? You know, feminism is just Malthusian. Feminism is anti-natalist and it's Malthusian. It's completely Malthusian. Fabianism itself is just a socialized Malthusianism. Oh, there's Rick Perry. Rick Perry, transfeminism is Fabian Malthusianism. It's anti-natalism and it's Malthusian. It destroys and controls the excess poor. That's all that feminism is. It's socialized, socially engineered Fabian Malthusianism. Everything about it is Malthusianist. So anyways, yeah, I don't have much else to say. So yeah, thank y'all for coming by. This is I am Imperator Forge of the Forge Smelter. And y'all have a good one. Just a comfy stream.